Hi, good morning, good evening. As per your Kum Sharma, and I'm back again on live open session episode 50. On the behalf of entire Eisenbridge team, I would like to welcome you here and let's celebrate our episode 50. So we are conducting these episodes from long time. Even I don't remember exactly. I think it's more than a year. Okay, and today, earlier we used to conduct every Friday. Now our frequency is little less every second Friday and the fourth Friday we are conducting. And many professionals are joining since last 50 weeks and they are asking wonderful questions and adding value in their profile and adding value in others' profile as well. So, guys, without wasting any more time, let's start the session. How we can start the session? Whatever questions you have, whatever you would like to ask related to your professional growth, please do not hesitate. Just post your questions in the comment box. We are live from YouTube, we are live from LinkedIn. You can post your questions, I'll include your question, and Saket will answer your question. Thank you very much, Saket, joining me again for this session.
Thank you. So we start soon. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So, what is the special plan for this episode? Because it's a 50th episode, it's a golden jubilee of episode for me. So, how we can make this episode more interesting for our visitors?
Okay, so it's all about the queries. I think for me, I have not thought about it. So it's just like another session for us, which probably can help people to explore and grow. Yeah, that's something we can focus on.
That's great.
Okay.
I think we got something. So, okay, let's start with the ACP, PMI ACP.
Okay, so we have a question talking about what is the difference between PMI ACP and PMP and what is the cost. So again, let's start with the difference and understanding who should do it. And then the cost and investment is a second point, because if it is important for you, you apply, you invest in it. So PMI has the most popular certificate of PMI is PMP certification, which is meant for project leaders and managers, the people who are doing the overall facilitation and a leadership of project delivery. The requirement for doing PMP certification is the person should have 3 years of delivery experience. The PMP program looks into various ways of working, agile way of working, hybrid way of working, and predictive way of working, because it believes the project leader, project manager should be able to select the appropriate life cycle, appropriate approach in order to deliver the best value to the stakeholders. So that's the PMP focus. From a content perspective, it is further divided into two domains, which we call it people, business, and then processes. The PMI ACP certificate is a practitioner level certificate. Even if you are not a project leader, you can do it. If you have an experience of around 15 months in doing project work, even as a team member, you can do it. It's a certification program which helps you in validating agile knowledge. They include various approaches of agile, generic agile, lean way of working, scrum way of working, and other topics like agile estimation, user stories, governance, matrices. So all those kind of topics are included there. So it's a pure agile certification program based. View is practitioner view. How do I write a story? That's a view. Whereas a PMP certification, the view is management view, leadership view. You may not be writing story, but you probably need to ensure that we have a right requirement, right value delivered based on the user stories. So these are the views. In general, the PMI ACP certificate on a popularity level is not that high. The PMP certification is more popular because it also catered to a larger audience base. In a Scrum world, we have many other programs, Agile Scrum programs. Like one of the most popular and simple program in the Agile world is Certified Scrum Master, which is usually done by the Scrum Masters. So if you are working as a Scrum Master, and if you have not done Certified Scrum Master, I recommend you doing that first. And if you have a specific goal, maybe your recruiter is asking for PMI ACP, then there is a special consideration. There are some organizations where the specific mention of PMI ACP comes, but without other than that, it's less popular there. So my recommendation usually is CSM. And if you want to grow your career, you want to go get into project management space where you want to focus on delivery rather than a framework or a method, If you want to establish yourself, I deliver, irrespective of the framework in use, then you better focus on PMP certification. Yeah. So that's my advice and comparison. The cost and other things, cost has a various components. There is a training cost, there is a certification cost. You can visit pmi.org to find out the certification cost. They have an Indian cost as well. Nowadays, the cost is pretty cheap for a certification program. And then learning depends upon how do you enroll, where do you enroll. We do have a program for both. For PMI ACP, we have a self-learning program, whereas a PMP, we have a mixing of everything. It has self-learning content, it has a live video, live online sessions, and it has a lot of practice tests. So it's a full facilitation program to get you not only ready for PMP, but also understand the delivery concepts. So you improve your delivery skills. So that's the program and the costing associated with it. Okay, so here we are. If someone is just joining in, the process of bringing your interaction on the floor is simple. You can just put your query in the YouTube or on the LinkedIn, wherever you are watching us, and we'll try to share our suggestion, our idea around that particular thing. You can probably ask topics related to Scrum, project management, Kanban, Scaled Agile, all those kind of things. So here we have a Suraj sharing that he has already completed PSM 1 and 2. Then you already know Scrum. I think that certification is good enough. Probably you need to just get to the action and focus on project management in case it is needed. But if you're working as a pure Scrum Master, from a certification point of view, it's good. It's more than enough. Yeah. Okay, so here we are. Let's wait for some more things, and in the meantime I can probably discuss few ideas here if people are taking time to joining these sessions. So in the recent time we have been exploring various concepts, various ideas. I have been working on one particular block which primarily talks about what are the value of a particular certificate, especially talking about SAFE certification. So this we have been discussing this query in this platform sometime, but now I compiled few points and written them in the form of a blog. So if you are following our Eisenbridge website, you can check it out, that what are the possible values one can get from a SAFE certification. And the whole idea is that it may help you to make your decision related to doing a particular certification or not doing a particular certification. So do check our program related to the value of a blog related to the SAFE, value of the SAFE certification. So there is a question, is the project management experience necessary for the PMP certification? The answer is yes. Now we need to see what is the meaning of project management certification. So the PMI declares the meaning is that you are doing some leadership related activities. You may not be having designation as a project manager. You might be having team leader, project leader, or any other thing, but you should be playing a role where you are responsible for facilitating, aligning a group of people to the project objective. The reason is that primarily when you are focusing on PMP certification, it is just not educating you on a project management from beginning till end. It is not meant for people who are new to project management. So concepts will directly come based on the experience. So they assume you have an experience, and on top of it, you are adding concepts and theory on it. So when you mix both the things, you apply your experience and you see the new content, the PMP content, and you make sense out of both. That creates the best learning experience, and that makes you ready for your PMP certification. And that's the reason they put as a clause of an experience. So experience is a part of your learning thing. Now, don't worry about the designation. You should be doing leading and directing activities. Now, somebody will say, okay, what are those activities? The detail can be found in the PMP exam content outline. So PMP exam content outline lists out various tasks which project managers are expected to do, and those tasks are the one which will get tested in the PMP exam also. So out of those tasks, the people domain task, process domain task, and the business domain task, you should be doing some percentage of tasks, And when you fill your PMP application, you need to demonstrate your experience in those tasks, which are there in your exam content outline. And based on that, PMI approves your application. They don't ask for any certificate from the organization, but in some percentage, 1 or 2% cases, they do audit your explanation. And in that case, they may need some evidences, but not much. So should I go for PMI, ACP, and PMP? So it depends upon your career goal. PMP certification is only meant for those people who want to get into project delivery space. If you want to get into pure Scrum Master space only, and you don't want to extend your role beyond Scrum Master, or you may want to extend your role at some point in time towards Agile coaching rather than a delivery space, then PMP certification may not be appropriate for you. After doing PSM1, PSM2, you may better focus on your career path. So we published one blog some time back where we spoke about 3 possible career paths at a high level for a Scrum Master. One path is more about continue doing as a Scrum Master job and focusing on doing multi-team Scrum Master, more senior leadership. Another path was Agile coaching, and the third path was project management. So out of these 3 paths, there could be more paths also, but these 3 paths we see at a high level followed by individuals. So out of these 3 paths, you probably choose one. And once you choose one, then you know which all certification can help you in that particular path. So for example, if I choose a Scrum Master and large team Scrum Master path, then there is a probability I may want to learn about leading safe. So I get ready for doing a Scrum Master job in a more complicated environment. That's the one possibility. If one decides to go into Agile coaching space, then also I need to learn more frameworks, more methods about Agile, and I need to understand the roles and responsibility of Agile, and that I can do by way of doing IC Agile, ICP, ACC certification. If I decide to get into project delivery space where I am not attached with Scrum, what Scrum is a tool for me. I'm more attached with delivery. My passion is getting things delivered. My passion is not experience and expertise in a Scrum theory. I just get things done and I use Scrum, I use whatever it requires. If you have that kind of mindset, then you go for project management space and you do PMP certification. Now, PMI ACP, in my view, will not fit in any 3 of it, but probably that's the thing. You can find out and which certification can help you in moving forward. Okay, so hopefully these 2 points are clarified now. So the first question we were discussing about PMP, PMI, ACP. The second one which we explored was about the experience and the utility of experience in the PMP certification and how the PMI put the needs of project management experience as a PMP certification application. Okay, so we have another question. So in business analysis role, kind of vanishing after Agile implementation, and that what can be a future of business analyst. So what I personally feel and I see is that activity called business analysis is needed all the time, and probably they are needed more now because the analysis is never finishing. The need exploration, the customer taste exploration, the benchmarking. Earlier, they used to finish in the initial stage of project, but now they are more needed on a real-time basis all the time. Now, this activity, who is doing this activity, that remains a little bit challenge. In my personal experience, only few organizations had a dedicated guy doing it, and they labeled the guy business analyst. Sometime in the old world, the project managers were expected to do this good part of this activity, and they had some supporting person doing it. In today's world, they may have a product owner, a person who is expected to do other management and stakeholder collaboration and coordination. Along with that, they are expected to do business analysis. So I would say that you may not find a designated role called business analyst, but there are some roles who are doing business analysis. So if I am the one who has a expertise and skill in business analysis, I probably try to understand which role is doing more and more business analysis, and that can help us in moving forward. So product ownership, project management, they require good amount of business. And today I was teaching PMP class and we were talking about requirement and scope. And we were discussing all those tools and techniques which are day-to-day tools for business analysts like interviews, user story mapping, empathy maps, and affinity diagrams, and context diagrams, and how do you do it, what is the difference between requirement and scope, and what kind of categories of requirement you are expected to take care. So even in the PMP exam, we expect the project manager should have this much understanding of business analysis. Yeah. So it's needed, but probably the role may be something different. Okay, so we have an interesting question. Can we use Scrum framework by using Excel, or Jira or Confluence is mandatory? So there is a group who conducts annual survey about what are you using as a tool, a state of agile survey, and that you can see. And most of the time, the number one used tool is still Excel. Yeah, so you will still find people using Excel. Yeah. Now, it is true for project managers also. It is true for agile-based processes also. Everywhere it is there. Now, when you are targeting a new organization, and it depends upon at what process maturity the organization is working. Most of the time, the organization where they have established development processes, yeah, then they will focus on having some better way of knowledge management and work management. And those organizations starts using advanced tools rather than just focusing on Excel, because the Excel may have an issue related to sharing of information, giving a limited view, creating a lot of analytical reports out of it, attaching a lot of information along with an issue or a thing. If you have a task in Excel, how do you attach a lot of screenshot and other stuff, and then locating them? That becomes a little messy. So if you have a bigger thing, you can have a Google Drive dedicated to it, and you can keep attaching the URLs of those files to that particular list, but it becomes little difficult to manage, especially when people are working in a virtual world. So most of the organizations where they have a little established practice of work management, knowledge management, artifact management, they go for advanced tools. So if I am targeting organizations which are advanced, I think better we go for learning Jira and Confluence. They are helpful. Yeah, maybe many organizations still don't use it, but they are definitely helpful for growing your career. Okay. So there is another question coming in. I am a Scrum Master with PSM1, PSM2. How do I move forward? So it's related to what we were discussing before as well. And we have a blog for the same thing. In general, I talk about three possible paths. One is that you continue as a Scrum Master and you want to do a bigger Scrum Master thing, like a safe Scrum Master. The another possible path could be that you go into mentoring, teaching, coaching job, and you pursue the agile coaching path. And the third possible thing is that you focus on just delivery, forget about just Scrum way of delivery, just delivery. Delivery becomes your primary focus. And then you may probably focus on the project management space, the PMP space. So I do recommend have a look at this three-path blog, which we have on our website, which talks about these three directions in detail. Looking at your second question, I see that you might be exploring how can I grow in a bigger Scrum Master job? So rather than just working with a one team, how can I work with 10 teams? How do I do my Scrum Master job where multiple teams are involved? Yeah. So that is one of the possibility when you get into safe way of working, scaled agile framework way of working. So the Scrum Master job in a safe way of working has a little more augmentation. It scales up. So what does that mean? In a Scrum way of working, Scrum Master might be working with a one team, take care of their problem, take care of their issues, facilitation, and ensure the team is delivering value and have a proper feedback available all the time. Yeah, so that's facilitating the delivery of value. In the case of SAFE, that role continues. Yeah, so you still remain a Scrum Master, you have a team, you are expected to facilitate the delivery of value with the help of this particular team. On top of it, you also get into inter-team coordination job, because in a safe way of working, they form a bigger group. We call it Agile Release Train, as a collection of agile teams. So if you are a Scrum Master for a one team, you need to ensure that we are coordinating and collaborating with other Scrum teams as well, with the help of Scrum meeting, with the help of joint planning meetings. And with that collaboration and facilitation, I help the full group to move forward. So the Scrum Master is a leader for their Scrum team, but the Scrum Master is also a team member when it comes to a group, the whole agile release train. So that's the role. So more stakeholder engagement, more participative in the various interactions which are happening at a multi-team level, and may also support the overall agile release train problem solving. There is a role called release train engineer. If you facilitate and help the release train engineer in doing multi-team coordination, then that could be your target role also, where you can say, okay, now I want to be a Scrum Master of Scrum Masters. So you can say, I have a Scrum Masters and I'm taking care of those people so that the whole group delivers well. That's a release train engineer job. Yeah. Hopefully it gives some insight to your career path. Okay, so this was something related which we discussed with Suraj before, and here we spoke about BA. Yeah, that's another thing we explored today, and we spoke about the Excel and Jira and Confluence and other stuff. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so for an aspiring technical business analyst, role with a 2 years of team leading experience, what would be the certification one should target for? So I probably convert this question and try to say what kind of skill you should target for, and then we find out which skill can help me, which certification can help me in building that skill. Yeah. So if you have a business analysis and team leadership experience, you need to think what should be my future career path. If you want to get into product domain exploration and discovery space only, then you need to learn the domain and business analysis tool more. If you want to get into the facilitation, Scrum Master, Agile coaching space, then you need to develop your Scrum skills more. And if you want to get into project delivery space, which can include Scrum way of working, non-Scrum way of working, then you may need to get into a PMP direction as well. So looking at these, there are some skills which are common. A good understanding and ability to facilitate conversation, ability to manage stakeholders will be needed in all the roles, be it a Scrum Master, be it a product owner, or be it a project manager. Ability to run effective meetings is somewhere needed. Understanding the current processes and ability to explain people about the current processes, that's needed across. Now, what is different? If you are focusing on leadership role, CSM, so Scrum leadership role, the CSM is a good starting point. You can say, I do a certified Scrum Master and I understand that place. Since you have an interest in business analyst as well, then doing CSM with Scrum product owner, CSPO, is also a good idea. You can say, I do CSM so that I'm good with the team leadership space, but I want to keep exploring my business analysis skill. I may want to play a dual role. Some organization have it, not many, but there are good number of organizations where they have dual role for Scrum Masters also. Then maybe those kind of organization will write your product ownership space, and then you decide what you want to do next. But I think if you just want to have a one advice for a certification, CSM is a good idea to start with. And once you do CSM, you will understand the overall context of Agile and Scrum, and then you can make the next decision also better. Yeah. Okay, we have a question. So more details about Agile Coaching Certification, ICP ACC. What other skills are needed for becoming a successful Agile coach? And I have an experience as a Scrum Master role. How can I become an Agile coach? How can I get an interview experience for it, etc., etc. So the role of an Agile coach is little bit varies based on which organization is looking for it, and also where they stand in their transformation journey. But generically speaking, it's a role which is more focusing on enablement. How can someone comes and enables our team so that they can understand and they can implement agile way of working? Yeah, so that's a high level expectation from an agile coach role. Now, for a large transformation, they may need multiple agile coaches rather than one, because there are many dimensions of the development which needs to be evolved. In a small transformation, you may only have a one coach, which might be just facilitating and helping organization to move towards agile way of working. What kind of roles and responsibility might be there? There is a expectation of that you educate people on agile way of working. There is an expectation of consulting also, where you consult their groups and organization what kind of framework, what kind of tools, what kind of approaches will be suitable for them. So you probably understand their current problems and come up with a recommendation. So consulting role might be also attached. There will be a good amount of mentoring coaching role will be attached, because you are expected to grow the scrum masters, create a capability in them so that they can bring agility in the organization. So with all these agile expertise, mentoring, coaching, training, consulting, this all put together may come as an agile coach profile. Now, IC Agile ACC certification, I usually keep giving as an example of it's like a CSM for agile coaching. So the way Scrum Masters are expected to have certified Scrum Master certification, so they understand what is the role and responsibility of Scrum Master, and they get a good overview of a Scrum Master role. Similarly, if you want to understand the good overview of Agile coach role and what all competencies are needed in order to become a better Agile coach, the ICP ACC certification is for that. Now, the way the person doing CSM may not become a great Scrum Master just by doing CSM, they need to definitely build those skills as we go along. Similarly, the person doing ICP ACC may not become a great Agile coach just by doing a class, they need to build those skills. So you come to know what is needed, the overall details of it. Little bit of content outline of ICP ACC. We spent talking about explaining what is coaching, what is agile coaching, what is the roles and responsibility of an agile coach. That part get explored in detail as a first topic. Then we get into the details of building competency and skill for doing coaching. Yeah, so there is a particular way of doing conversation which is called coaching conversation. We spend time explaining that. Then and we practice that as well, and then we get into the conversation which is how do we support change. So when the organization is going through change, how you as a coach play a role to enable, educate, and facilitate change at a multiple team level. So we learn that. So that's a change part of agile coach thing. Then we focus on team, high performing team creation related things. How do we coach team? How do we do a team assessment? How do we coach scrum masters so that they can create high performing team? So we spend time there. Then we focus on little bit of understanding how various environment may require adaptation in the agile coaching. Then we also learn how to build a skill so that we can teach which stays in the people's mind for a long time. So that's another topic we explore. And then we explore how do we create our coaching working agreements with various stakeholders so that we can keep assessing our performance as well. So that's the overall content outline of ICP ACC in our class, because the IC Agile has some content outline, but each provider may have their own addition to it. So whatever I shared is our class ICP ACC content outline. So hopefully that helps you in getting things well. Okay, so I think all three a question I can club. So I'm just reading the question, probably we can put it. So is there any work experience required for CSM or CSPO certification? What is the product delivery roles? What certification is required? And any prior experience required in the reality with the CSM certification before team lead, and what is the role which one can apply after doing CSM. I think some part of it might got clear when I was explaining agile coaching thing. So certified scrum master program is kind of default expectation, yeah, people have, or recruiter will have for their scrum master's profile. So what is a scrum master role? It's a team leadership role. So you have a leader who takes care of facilitating and problem solving of a team related things so that team can excel and produce the value for the organization. So it's a leadership role, and that role is called scrum master. So usually when the organizations are looking for that leader, they do ask for a certification. They do prefer, usually you can see the job site, you can see a certified scrum master profile coming there. I wrote a blog talking about how do we create your our profile, and that thing is also applicable for how do you decide about various certification. I go to a job site, I put a particular profile, and I see like 2 3 jobs related to that particular profile and pick up what all certifications are asked. So if you search for a scrum master job on any job site, you are highly likely to see the mentioning of scrum certified scrum masters in those job profile. So that's a good starting point. Similarly, for a product leadership, product ownership role, if you search for product owner role in the agile world, scrum world, you highly likely to see CSPO certification mentioned. But at the same time, they will mention many other things as well. Same is true for CSM certification as well. Along with the CSM certification, they will ask few more things as well. So you need to see what other things are there and how do I build competency in those areas. But certification at least get your profile come up, yeah, and you have a chance of having second conversation because at least you got selected because you were showing commitment for the learning. Yeah. So CSM for certified scrum masters, CSPO is for product owner role are usually preferred. Okay, so how to fix a time frame for project planning activities? 2 or 3 days are enough. So it depends upon how we create our development approach. So, for example, in a Scrum way of working, we fix it that every 2 weeks we will do a, a half a day planning or a meeting, which will help us in finding out what do we should do there. And during the 2 weeks, we will spend, say, probably 7 8 hours planning about upcoming work. So you identify the time box and you do that it regularly. In general, as a rule of thumb, usually people spend around 20% of their time in planning related activities. So if I have to do a 10 hours job, I may want to do a 2 hours planning for it. Yeah, I may. Again, depending upon the environmental complexity, distribution and all, the planning percentage may increase. So what I need to see is based on the nature of my project, what kind of and what amount of planning overhead is needed, planning and as well as monitoring and project management overhead is needed to ensure that we are aligned towards a common goal. And in the ideal world, I want to do everything without planning and they still should work perfectly, but they don't. Yeah. That's why I need to spend time in planning so that I can use my remaining time better. So no 2 day, 3 day, but yeah, Scrum way of working, you can say that 1 day of backlog refinement, half day of planning, sprint planning, that much is enough for our regular work. If it is not enough, we do a retrospective and we improve. Okay, so we have a question. Yeah. And why we see a technical scrum master with PM experience, scrum master with business analyst, scrum master with cloud. And as we understand, the scrum master may not be having any expertise in a specific domain, then why recruiter keep asking? Yeah. So, and is the scrum master can be a full-time job or is it always a plus plus plus? Yeah. Uh, So it depends upon the market and the organization. In my personal observation, the organizations which are basically focusing on doing projects for client, they usually have Scrum Master plus plus. The organizations where they are working on their own product line and they have a product way of working, product organization, they can have a pure Scrum Master's profile. But with the time, those kind of organizations are becoming less and less who are just focusing on Scrum Master profile. So when you want to plan your future career, you need to say that I may want to get ready for multiple roles. In the agile world also, we keep teaching that we should be a T-shaped professionals. We should have a multiple skills. So whenever there is a problem, there is a lack of resource, we can do something else other than doing our primary job. So that seems to be nowadays industry also looking in a scrum master as well. You should be T-shaped. So you might be doing scrum master as your primary role, but you may have some secondary role where you assist maybe another role. So it will be difficult to say it's which role you should pick up, but depending upon your past experience and your knowledge and your interest, it is always a good idea to have some secondary skills rather than only having one primary skills. And that's what we have been teaching in our Scrum world to others as well, to developers, that at least you have more than one skill. So can you describe a situation when you as a Scrum Master has to work with a cross-functional team that includes members from different projects and with the different goals and priorities? I don't find that uh, pretty much relatable, so maybe I can't. Yeah, so probably different project, different goals, and then still you call it Scrum team, and still you call it cross-functional. Difficult. Don't know. Yeah. Okay, can we implement ADKAR technique for a running project, particular work? Because I remember you said it should be used at an initial stage, etc., etc. Okay. So say we were having conversation Noor today in today's class. We were having another PMP class today, and the conversation is that what if when your project is ongoing and organization decides to change to agile way of working, and you are a project manager, what should you do? Yeah, so you have a running project and some internal environment change has happened. How should you answer that thing? I said, yeah, as a PMP exam test taker, I don't have to remind ADKAR there, but I may take a reference from that approach. So what does that mean? Whenever the internal environment change is happening and we need to make that change implemented and adapted in our project environment, we need to follow some guidance which can be looked as a ADKAR as a reference, which talks about I create an awareness of the change, need of the change, I create a desire in my people to follow agile now because organization is going for it, and I show them it's a good idea for them. I create a knowledge in them, I create an attitude in them, ability in them, and I reinforce the agile way of working. And this could be a PMP exam question also, where you may say that you are working on a given project and in between agile transformation starts happening. So you should communicate, help people to understand why agile, what is agile, etc., etc. You should help them in learning and arranging trainings for them. You should help them by giving proper assistance, and you should tweak your key performance indicator monitoring process, review process, so that the agile way of working really get reinforced and stick to the behavior. So hopefully it gives you the idea of ADKAR, and it has nothing to do with the initial or later stage of the project. It is all about bringing the readiness for the change. And usually it comes when your deliverables are ready. It comes usually at a later stage of the project if we are talking about PMP. So when you have a deliverable and you want to take the deliverable to the organization and wants them to use it, then you follow ADKAR way of working. So when projects change internal environmental factor, you can use ADKAR as a reference. When the environmental factors are expected to be changing your project and you need to get ready for that, then also you can use ADKAR process to get ready for that particular change. Okay, so Disciplined Agile Scrum Master certification, please share more details on this certification and industry relevance for and acceptance. So Sundar, it is little slow as of now. We did a few classes before, but in between there was, I think the PMI is redesigning the content. I got some email last week, and probably they will come up with a little better content and better placement. So it's as of now I would say that we are not actively pursuing it. Yeah, that's the thing. Now if someone wants to do it, it helps you in understanding what is Scrum. Yeah, so it's at a beginner level, and it also helps you in understanding that how Scrum and other things can fit together. So the Disciplined Agile has an approach, we call it hybrid framework, where it's more like choosing out of many options. So the way Disciplined Agile says, you want to focus on facilitation. You want to ensure that everybody should have a common understanding of the project status. Now, in order to achieve that, you can do a daily stand-up, one option, or you may do a weekly meeting, or you may want to do a dashboard-based reporting Kanban board, which will help you in achieving it. So the Disciplined Agile way of working will not say you must follow one only, which is daily stand-up. It can say you can follow any of these three, but we can educate you what are the advantages and disadvantages associated with these approaches. So out of these, you can choose which one is more suitable for you. So now that's a high level pitch for Disciplined Agile. The DASM is a first level certificate which is helping us to get introduction to Disciplined Agile. The PMI has a dedicated website. And you go to Agile section of a PMI.org, you can go to Disciplined Agile, and they have a good amount of material there. You can explore it. From a certification perspective, I do know there are some organizations who are looking for DASM and DASSM certified people. If you happen to working in those organizations, then you can take that particular program and you can connect with us. We can find out how can we possibly support you. That's a DA thing. So can we split a user story at the end of the sprint? Why not? Yeah. Stories are negotiable. They are negotiable instrument. Probably you are ready with the negotiation and the parties involved are willing to do that. You can do. Now, when such kind of events happen, yeah, what would be the usual cases? So sometimes you have a story. Story is a requirement, small piece of requirement, and it may have a say 5 acceptance criteria. And you might have done 3 and you are missed with 2. Now, there are 2 options. The sprint is about to finish. One is that you mark the whole story not done because it's not done. It's not finished. But business may say, don't worry, even those 3 acceptance criteria are great. If you just give that piece, it will still add value to me. Why don't you just give that portion and we will create a separate 2 acceptance criteria as a separate story? Why not to make a use of a functionality which is completed and business is happy with it? So in those situations, we will say, okay, let's split it. Yeah, let's split the user story now because we are unable to finish it. And we can say the 3 acceptance criteria story marked done. We may re-estimate that part. The 2 acceptance criteria stories which is left will go into the backlog. We'll see when it will get prioritized. So again, it's not must do it or not do it. The user stories are negotiable. They can keep another question. How do you work with a team to ensure that everyone has aligned and working towards the same goal? And how did you address any conflict that emerges during the project? So that is, I think, the basic leadership expectation. And that is what we call is a leadership for a team. So in a simple word, leadership is expected to ensure alignment. Leadership is expected to ensure that we are moving together for the common goal. And leadership should ensure the confusion, differences which are coming in between get resolved. Now, how do you handle it? You probably talk about various experiences and maybe different things works at a different point in time. There is no one recipe to it. But in general, some ideas, people should know what is the common goal. So elaborating the vision, having a clear understanding of where we are heading is something is needed. And the reminder about the common goal is something is needed. A proper feedback mechanism so that people come to know where they are heading by way of a daily scrum, by way of a Kanban board. So we know where we are and where we are expected to do. So complete transparency and mechanism to show the feedback and then continuously doing learning and retrospective to find out, oh, how much aligned we are, what we are doing and what we are not doing so that we can correct it. So I have a goal. I move towards that goal. I plan to move towards that goal. First step. During the path, I have a continuous feedback like Kanban board, sprint reviews, and retrospectives, and a daily scrum. And then I do a critical retrospectives in my retrospective meeting to ensure that next cycle will be more aligned. So I just do it and get my movement moving. Okay, so does user story refinement activity needs to be done only at a sprint planning or doing only at the early stage of is the best practice? So usually we are expected to do a backlog refinement. Yeah? And backlog refinement, the Scrum and other frameworks are not mandating you should do in a particular way, but it will be easy to explore that on a weekly basis, we spend few hours of the team time to explore and refine the upcoming iterations back or upcoming sprints backlog user stories tentatively which you are expected to come in upcoming sprint. So we should do backlog refinement on a regular basis. The product owner and other people stakeholder may do it offline as well, but they should also involve at some percentage of the team time during this sprint. The sprint planning is usually too late until unless you are very old scrum team and everybody understands what they are doing. So it is becoming more or less a clear requirement to everyone, then the sprint planning is good enough. But if you are a little bit confused about your upcoming requirement, for a generic PMP exam perspective, you should remember it should be done in a backlog refinement rather than directly done in a sprint planning meeting. Yeah. Okay, so can we discuss about product management or a product owner, and how can one transform in a product leadership role without having much experience in IT, or the and does the Eisenbridge have any other course training program related to that? So we, as of now, we have an industry scrum master program. We don't have an industry product owner program as of now, but we have few individual coach who can assist. So we can connect with individuals who are working as a product owner, and they can give you mentoring on a one-on-one basis for getting ready for product ownership, product management skill. So that's a first answer about Eisenbridge supporting growing in a product owner, product management space. Now, I repeat, or I stress upon that in order to target a particular role, I need to understand the competencies needed for that role, which I can do by doing the job portal search. And once I understand those competencies, I need to find out how do I build them. So usually the product related competency, not necessarily too much dependent on software side. They are more dependent on understanding the customer behavior, marketing skills, and a domain expertise. Do you understand the regulatory framework, the other competitors, what functionality other has, and how, what kind of functionality people are looking for, what kind of pain they have. So it's more about the external environment awareness, your customer segment awareness, knowing their problems and how they are solving their problems right now, which kind of products and solutions they are using. So that understanding plays a major role, and then later on converting those things into the language which our development team can understand. So that will be a little bit more system analysis or product ownership space, that okay, I got to know what is needed there, then I come back and I focus on how do we communicate and make that ready. So program perspective, we can do a one-on-one connection of some of our coaches. Basic understanding of product management. If you are focusing on generic product owner role, CSPO is a good training. If you are focusing on safe-based product owner role, then safe POPM is a good training. Yeah. So CSM can eventually do a product ownership role. CSM is just a 2 days program. So you do a 2 days program, you focus on Scrum Master, then you develop your product ownership skills, then you go into product owner role. You may do a certification, you may not do a certification. If you are doing a good experience, then you probably will not have a need of that particular role. Okay. So apart from status update, what is the purpose of DSM? So the Scrum guy will say that we don't do status update. It's a knowledge sharing. So the whole idea of daily stand-up is you have made a sprint plan. We need to see together as a team, where do we stand? Yeah, the point is how do you ensure alignment and focus towards the goal? So first you have a goal which got identified in a sprint planning meeting. Now you need to reflect on that goal every day. And that is what you are doing in a daily stand-up. Now the format is that we are focusing on what I did to achieve, to help the teams to achieve a goal, what probably I will do today and where I am stuck. Yeah, but sometimes people get too much into the format and it looks like I'm just telling what I did. I'm sharing my status. That's not the intent. What I like, who is listening to your status? So the idea here is, as a whole team, we are together, but we need to bring on the table what was happening yesterday. Because without we bring that on the table and what is my plan for today, we probably can't understand what should we adjust in order to achieve our sprint goal. So the goal of daily stand-up is to inspect and adapt based on current situation so that we can achieve our sprint goal. Yeah, that's the idea. Okay, so what if my agile coach is not accepting for proceeding with a sprint zero? How to convince him? Don't do sprint zero. Yeah, because sprint zero is not a good word. Focus on what activities you are doing. and what activities you want to do. Ask the person for a suggestion. Whatever you wanted to do something in a sprint zero, find out where can you do it. That's it. So you also get what you want, and the person also get what they want. Yeah. So idea here is some people have a problem with the word sprint zero primarily because the sprint as a definition should produce always a valuable deliverable. And if you are doing something which doesn't produce a valuable deliverable, you should not call it a sprint. You should call it something else. You can say we are still getting ready. We are not started. Yeah. But when you say started, you should show something. That's the whole intent. But again, it depends upon how your stakeholder interpret it, how your coach interprets it. We definitely need something to get ready before we start. Yeah, we need to have people, we need to have machines, we need to have installation of appropriate software on their machines. Yeah. So we need to figure it out. Maybe 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 day of warm up time is needed, and then we get started. Yeah. So the only reservation some coaches may have that when we call it sprint zero, it may run for long and we may not produce anything. So we don't want to give a whole sprint for such activities, so that you do it along the way. Yeah. Now, why there is the question is saying the why there is a conflict between product manager, project manager, scrum master, product owner. Why do I see all these conflicts very soon, very frequently? So as we learn in our PMP exam or PMP certification, the conflict comes because of different value priorities. Yeah. So someone wants to achieve A, someone wants to achieve B, and that creates a conflict. Yeah. So for example, I may have a customer demo tomorrow, and I want to ensure that we have a great customer demo tomorrow. But the team might be already sitting since morning, and I want, in order to get a customer demo tomorrow, team may need to work till midnight. Yeah. But the scrum master or another role, a leader role, may be worried about because it's been a pretty frequent team is getting into to these issues and sitting late, and that is creating moral issues for the team. So you have a customer demo as your first priority. The other guy has a team moral or team satisfaction, team happiness as a first priority. And now the person is saying, can we do something that we don't have to wait for that long? Still, we can manage the demo. Probably we can shift a demo by a day, or we can do some less scope demo tomorrow. Yeah. And the product owner maybe, or a person who is a delivery guy might be focusing on getting the demo, because without a good demo, we will not get the order. And if we don't get the order, it will be a problem for us as a company. Now, that's a conflict. So how do we resolve it? By sharing priorities with each other. So we share, the Scrum Master shares, these are my concern and this is why I am sharing it. Product owner or product management talks about, these are my concern, I am sharing it. And we probably share with the people who are like really interested in getting organization forward. And we find out how do we balance the competitive needs rather than getting into conflicts are there, needed, because they are different values. But it's all about how do we learn from it? How do we use those conflicts for better information exchange? How do we use those conflicts for better alignment to a common value? So when I see a value conflict coming in, it's a good opportunity for me as a leader to establish the right value for whole team. And we understand where we are heading. That's another question. How do you as a leader keep aligning people back? So you also use conflict as an opportunity to align people back to the values. Okay, so I think all questions done, and we are also heading towards our closing time. Final time, in case someone has something. I don't see anything pending. Hopefully, I have covered everything. But if something is missed, please let me know. Type it again. Else, we are good. We will proceed towards closing. So, how to allocate release cadence? In our SAFE, we have a principle for it, batch size principle, which usually talks about balancing the, the cost of, so whatever make economic sense we should do. That's a general way. It's a principle SAFE, but it's usually applicable everywhere. They also picked up from a book called Product Development Flow. So it's in a way a kind of industry knowledge. So we need to see what are the overheads of releases. And we also need to see what are the benefits of the releases. So if overheads are too many, probably we need to do little infrequent release. If the benefits are many, we probably need to do more frequent release. And if the benefits are more, probably we need to do automation to reduce the overhead of releases. So if I bring my release process simple, if I reduce those overheads, then I can do releases more frequently. So if I'm an e-commerce company, I probably want to release every day or maybe more than once in a day, because a small delay is some percentage of my customers are getting lost because of that delay. So I don't want to delay it. If I'm a bank and I'm focusing on my retail banking website, I probably want to do release in 2 months, because in order to release it, we need to go through various confirmations and compliance checks. And I don't want to do all those compliance checks every day. And anyway, my customer will be okay to will be okay with some kind of issues or problems in general. For a 2 months time, we will keep improving the website experience as we go along. So it depends upon what is my cost of delay. Yeah, so what I am losing by not releasing it, that's the word we usually use. And what is my cost of releasing, what is my overhead associated with it. So based on these two parameters, we find out our optimum size and can say, okay, this is what it is. This is not a permanent optimum size. There could be some exceptions where cost of delay is high. Maybe some defect came in your banking website, then you need to fix it today and release it tomorrow only. It's a critical one. So we need to see those things in order to identify the release cadence. Yeah. But in case checking up the safe principles, we have videos for them. You don't have to attend the class if you are not yet ready for it. But those principles gives a good idea related to such kind of decision making. Yeah. Okay. So all good here. So we do a lot of certification thing. We have been talking about certification, but some of you might have seen my blog talking about how do you create a nice profile for Scrum Master job. And one thing, one thing I mentioned there is that don't show certification as your primary skill. You should mention certification so that it gets scanned by the resume selection or tracking system. There are automatic systems which are filtering the resumes or CVs. So you should have it, but don't just show it that this is something you have done and this you should hire me because of a certificate. So sometimes people, the recruiter may not like that much because they want to see what you did more than what certification you have. At the same time, certification might help you to get in front of a recruiter, but in your profile you may want to little bit tone it down rather than showing it too much in the front area. So some of us may be putting these certification logos everywhere in the beginning, and as soon as the profile opens, it's a full of certificate. So you probably want to, if you are not getting good results because of that, maybe you want to adapt to it, because we have been talking about certification today. So does Scrum Master job getting and after becoming an agile coach? Yeah, so probably yes, probably not. Depends. Yeah, sometimes you may have a Scrum Master work role continued for a one team, and you might be coaching other teams. So it depends upon your secondary role, as we spoke it today's, that you may have a first role and second role. So there is a possibility Scrum Master might be playing a first role as a Scrum Master to a given team and coach to the same team as well as few other teams. So it's a possible. Good. So this all we explore. Some of you will meet tomorrow in the PMP class. Yeah. So great and nice seeing you all here.
Okay, so I think our 50th episode went really well, and we've covered and talked about so many certifications: CSM, CSPO, PMP, POPM, ACP, and agile coaching. So many. I think first time we talked about multiple certification, multiple things. So yeah, it really went well, and I enjoyed a lot. And curious people, don't stop yourself here. If you have follow-up questions and more questions, I'm just posting our website link and our team link, so you can post your queries here on this email. And this is our website link. Visit our website, explore things, read blogs. There are lots of useful and insightful material we have which can help in your decision making. So thank you very much joining this and asking wonderful questions. Bye for now. We'll be back on the second Friday of the March. Let me just quickly check the dates. Yeah, that would be 10th of March. So we'll be back on 10th of March. So bye for now. Take care of yourself.